if you want to make actual positive, meaningful, and lasting changes in your life, a lot of this information is completely essential for doing that. And without a lot of this kind of information that I'm going to be sharing with you in this video, it's very hard to actually make a lasting change in your life. It's actually near impossible, to be quite honest. You can make a kind of surface level change, but I'm talking about very fundamental changes to who you actually are, your experience of life, your well-being, your overall consciousness. So most of your negative patterns in your life, your self-sabotage, your relationship problems, addictions, insecurities, a lot of your emotional problems, a lot of these things are actually what's organizing your life. And a lot of these aren't the result of some kind of broken human or a poorly trained mind that has to work harder, or it has to just be more kind to itself, or it has to be more grateful, or it just has to love itself more. It's actually the result of a lot of old pain that has accumulated throughout your life. See, let's say we have a totally open person. My hand here represents a totally open person. This is kind of you when you were very young. And then you get rejected and it kind of closes you down, and then that kind of hurts. And something else happened that kind of hurts, and then you kind of like twist in that position. And then another thing, you kind of twist in that position to the point where you're kind of holding it like this, because you can't, especially when you're really young, regulate your emotions very well. You have little to no capacity to do that when you're really young. So you kind of start to hold on to all this stuff. You start to form these sort of protective mechanisms against it. And this stuff kind of just gets stuck in place. And essentially, your system, your body, organizes itself around these feelings in a way so that it doesn't have to experience them. This old stuck pain is creating a lot of behaviors in your life that are all around you simply not having to feel it. And this actually has a lot of implications on your life. So those behaviors actually now run your life. If you could right now snap out of a lot of the protective patterns that you have and recognize how much a lot of these mechanisms are actually running your life, it would probably be overwhelming, to be quite honest. It would be a lot too much all at once. So for now, let's just gently hold on to this perspective, and we'll just assume that what I'm saying is just true, just for the sake of it. All right, let's just look through this lens. We'll look through this perspective, and we'll just kind of start to notice some things about it. So I want you to reflect on how you typically try and make changes in your life, and I also want you to reflect on how a lot of other people typically try and make changes in their lives. Right? I'm thinking very negative, so I need to think positive. I'm not feeling the way I want to feel, so I need to be more grateful. I essentially need to steer my thoughts in some kind of different direction. I have to be less grumpy. I have to just wake up in a good mood. I have to stop. I just got to stop reacting. And a lot of this, first of all, is very forced. It's not very authentic. And of course, it's very surface level. It's like we're just kind of changing our thoughts. But this doesn't go very deep at all. This is like extremely surface level. It doesn't ever actually go to any of these more root problems. So, although not all that's bad, I mean, like, it's kind of nice to be grateful or have a positive thought. Like, it's fine. It's just that it's never really going to have any kind of meaningful or lasting change, actually. And there's a place for a lot of that stuff. It's just that when we're trying to make these very deep changes, that's not really how this one works. So even when we do a lot of those other habits, a lot of that stuff fails, and it actually doesn't even feel quite pleasant. It's like we're actually, again, doing a lot of that stuff, once again, out of this avoidance of the pain that we're actually experiencing inside of our bodies. So this approach means that, the approach that I'm talking about in this video, really, this approach means that a lot of the most stubborn patterns that exist in your life play themselves out in loops and are simply the byproduct of protective mechanisms. That's really it. And you're basically protecting yourself from pain that is already stored inside of your system. And your system is very intelligent. You might go, Lucas, where's the pain? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? But the thing is that it's actually so in the background. And it's actually so just not really in your immediate awareness that it's like it just goes unregistered. And your body mind, your system it holds it there. And until there's a sense of safety, right, until you feel safe enough to explore it, your mind, your body, your nervous system, it's literally all just going to hold it there. It's very intelligent. When your nervous system can feel safe enough, then it can actually begin to regulate a lot of that old stuff. Until then, it's just stuck there. It's organizing itself around avoiding it. And this actually manifests in your relationships, in your career. Your entire career can quite literally be built on these patterns. And in a lot of cases, many people's careers actually are. A lot of the habits that you do, a lot of the beliefs that you have, can be built exactly around this. So these protection mechanisms become how you relate to yourself. They become how you relate to the world. They become how you relate to other people. They become your career. They become who you believe yourself to be. They become inauthentic aspects of your personality. If you've ever wondered why you don't really feel so authentic in a lot of cases, this is actually it. Because authenticity implies an open, honest, truthful way of expressing yourself, a way that's really aligned with the core of your own being. And when you're so stuck in a lot of just protective mechanisms, it's impossible to be authentic because you're relating from that place of protection. You're essentially relating from wound, trauma, from just pure survival. Your nervous system is stuck in survival unconsciously in a lot of these places in your body, really. There's tensions, and I won't really go into too much more detail. And it can't really open up. It can't be honest. It can't speak its mind. It can't be grounded in itself. It can't feel safe in the present. It's not capable of doing it under the current set of conditions. So I want to actually start moving to the solution now. See, the general idea here was that a lot of this stuff is stuck in the body, right? And because we don't feel safe enough, it just remains stuck there. We don't feel safe enough to experience these aspects of ourselves. They appear too dangerous to us, and we had to repress them, typically when we were young, in order to get forms of approval and acceptance. And a lot of other reasons. The pain was overwhelming. We didn't have the capacity to regulate it. A lot of reasons. So let's just start moving to the solution. You need to create space for your system to not be so engaged in a lot of these patterns, in a lot of the fear, tension, and tightness that it holds on to, in order to break free from the patterns and break free from the patterns that you repetitively do in order to not feel the thing that you're avoiding. Because essentially, when you're too, I'm going to use the term lost in the sauce here, kind of just kidding, but goes well with it. When you're too lost in the pattern, you're too identified with the pattern, you can't actually break out of it. When you're too stuck in it, you are essentially just in it. You can't move beyond it. So by learning how to create the space for you to step out of it, to witness it, to become more aware of it, this totally naturally begins to break you out of that pattern. And a lot of these patterns, they have various layers to them. You break through one protective mechanism only to be met by another one, and then potentially another one. And we're trying to really dig to the bottom of like that core pain that you're avoiding and just feel it and process it, and then allow that to change us. And it really does. And I'm going to be explaining a little bit more about that very shortly. But essentially, creating the space for your system to not be engaged in the pattern simply means learning how to take a step back, learning how to just be aware. Watch your mind, watch your thoughts, watch your feelings, watch your tensions in the body. How do you just sit in presence in the moment and allow the things inside of you to naturally bubble up as your nervous system feels safe enough to allow that stuff to do so? So one very important thing is to establish a meditation practice. Meditation is really a very foundational aspect to this kind of work, to this inner psychological work. Meditation is really just sitting down and observing your thoughts. And I'm actually going to be doing some group coaching in the relatively near future. I'm going to be starting an online community where I'm going to be teaching people exactly how to do a lot of this stuff, and I'm already doing this in my one-to-one coaching. My one-to-one coaching just has a lot more support than a group coaching, a group community-oriented coaching will ever have. So establishing some kind of daily meditation practice with the intention of learning to allow your body to kind of just relax. Learn to let go of control, really. You're always trying to manage your experience, manage your feelings, like managing and kind of rearranging and just essentially just controlling your experience. Allow your experience to just be as it is. You're just allowing feelings to arise and pass, thoughts to arise and pass. You're learning to just ground in your own body. You're learning to just watch what's happening, and naturally your nervous system can just start to regulate. You're learning to breathe deeply into your gut rather than shallow and into your upper chest. You're learning to just slow down. Counterintuitively, when you learn to slow down, you speed up. So you're learning to slow down rather than always being in reactivity mode. You're learning to just watch what's happening and not always be just reacting to it. You're learning to just give presence and awareness to your system, to your body, to your nervous system. You're just giving presence to you. You deserve your own presence. You deserve awareness. You deserve your own attention. Are you not worthy of your own attention? So moving on. You slowly cultivate inner warmth, inner stability, and connection to the actual heart space. This can sound kind of hippy-dippy, fluffy, new agey when I say connection to the heart space, but your heart's intelligent, and your nervous system and your body's actually always talking to you. So if you tune into your heart space right now, how does it feel? Does it feel contracted and tight, or does it feel kind of open? Is there a flow of energy moving through it, or does it feel kind of numb and dull? So you can have it to the point where it's open. It's full of energy. It's not numb, it's not dull, it's not contracted. And naturally from this place of openness, an inner warmth towards yourself just spontaneously happens. It just naturally occurs. This sense of just self-compassion towards your own pain naturally occurs. It just becomes a natural byproduct of having these parts of your body be open, relaxed, and essentially out of survival mode. Right? Keep in mind that your body, you might not be aware of it right now, but it's giving you a lot of very profound messages. Your nervous system, your tensions, the sensations in your body. Your body's not stupid. Your body's a highly intelligent system. So you're learning to let your body release tension, relax, and soften. Essentially, we're always kind of walking around with a lot of unnecessary tension in the body. This is the state of most people, and you can actually reduce a lot of the tension that you experience. You can reduce it to the point where you only tense what's actually needed. You ever question why your body's so tense, why the shoulders are always raised, why it feels numb or dull, why your gut is clenched and held? Why can't your gut kind of just be loose and open? Why does your heart feel contracted? And when you actually begin to tune into your body in all sorts of different places, you recognize that there's actually tensions practically everywhere, maybe in your arms, in your legs, in your jaw. None of it is like just fully relaxed. You have trouble just relaxing into the moment. There's always the sense of something's wrong, even if it's a subtle sense. There's this sense of I can't rest in the moment. I'm not safe to do that. So you're essentially just learning to soften to life as well, relaxing the tensions mindfully, right? Applying awareness to all this stuff, noticing the pure sensations and learning to just allow yourself to just expand. Learning yourself, my God, there's a gorgeous bird over there. That's amazing. Learning to just allow your body to just exist. Learning to just inhabit the space that you naturally occupy rather than making yourself small or tensing or any of these kind of like weird games that are going on. So a lot of this naturally begins to sort of undo a lot of those patterns, right? You can think of the patterns as just repeating themselves on loop over and over again unconsciously. And this kind of work naturally begins to kind of undo them and break them down so you can just naturally return to life in a very open way. So we're kind of undoing those patterns and layers of protection until you can kind of hit that underlying pain and vulnerable spot. And this begins to naturally open you back up. So many relationship patterns, the habits in your life, beliefs, your career, essentially were organized around the avoidance of this pain. And now you can kind of just relax, open, and breathe. My God, there's some interesting birds in this forest right now. So I want to talk a little bit about just some of the benefits of this, just what naturally starts to happen. So old patterns naturally fall away effortlessly the second this occurs. Like a lot of the most stubborn habits, maybe like porn addiction, for example, junk food addictions, reactivity, a lot of just unnecessary reactivity that you have. A lot of things, they naturally just fall away, kind of like magic, because they were held together by this protection mechanism. And the second the protection mechanism is gone, they go away with it. Presence becomes easy. In fact, it becomes harder to not be present, because it's like, why would I want to miss out on this beautiful experience? Why would I not want to be connected to it, essentially? And it's not very like logical in the way that you might think. It's just that presence becomes the normal way of being. It just becomes natural rather than like an effortful thing. It becomes more effortless. Patience naturally happens. Reactivity naturally becomes responding to life, because that old trigger point doesn't really exist. The protections around it that gave rise to the reactivity, that breaks down. Your career can fit you properly. You develop a deeper sense of intuition. In order for your intuition to really come through, you have to learn to open to life. You have to learn to undo a lot of these protection mechanisms. So you can actually kind of sense like what opportunities in the world are actually a good fit for me. What spaces fit me well. Just off the pure feeling and the overall energy that you're getting, your body can detect it. Your nervous system can detect it, because your nervous system's always guiding you through life. It's making a lot of your decisions for you. So when it's always unregulated, when it's always in survival mode, essentially you're going to be making a lot of decisions that aren't really aligned with you. They're kind of just coming from fear. Compassion and self-compassion becomes organic. It just becomes natural. It doesn't become like this forced value of, I need to be more compassionate. Oh my God, I'm not compassionate enough. The spiritual teachers tell me I need to be compassionate. It becomes more natural and organic, and all the parts of your psyche can actually become more integrated. Because if you're being honest with yourself, there's a lot of parts of your psyche that don't even care about compassion. They really don't. So it's like we're integrating the full psyche here. We're integrating all the parts of us, and we're able to hold all the parts of us with warmth. Even the parts of us that don't care about compassion, the parts of us that can be more selfish, parts of us that are more oriented towards our own personal survival. We're not trying to like erase all of this kind of stuff. It's like we're integrating our whole psyche in a way that functions in a more healthy way, rather than repressing them because we have this self-image of, I need to be compassionate, and everything that doesn't fit into that self-image gets repressed. So that's it for this video. If you are interested in working one-to-one with me, you can apply to do so. Link is in the pinned comment. Take it easy.